eclipse with the longest night of the year, but we're also going to be blessed and have a lot of energy from the cosmos. It's already coming in, but the light is going to be even brighter, and there is going to be shifts of consciousness coming through, and we're going to be, those of us who are ready, we are going to be shifting into a much higher vibration and higher consciousness. Our powers will be increased. Our telepathic abilities will be increased. Our brain octaves will be increased. In other words, we'll be up in higher notes, higher vibration. And so it's going to be marvelous. Okay, if you want to share the moon experience, go back to week 2 of the fall mentoring. If you don't have that, email me, we'll send it again. I've been sending it all along. Go back and get all the emails sent from me and you can find it, but if you need to find it, we can send it again. Okay. Now the best way to keep yourself out of temptation is to follow God at all times in your thoughts, in your heart, your mind, and your soul. Now, why is that? Because the first commandment of God is to love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, mind, and soul. And when we're doing this, we are not tempted because we're always in that space where we're following God. Even though a temptation shows up, we go, oh, that's not to do with God. That's to do with the shadow, the darkness, the moon, the reflected light. And so that's how we do not do it. So go back and review the Moon Temple experience. It's a very interesting experience. It was a little harrowing, even for me in a past life going through it. And it was so real, and yet I was able to put God first. And that's what we need to do, is put God's love first in our life, God's commandments first in our life, and our thoughts are upon the good things that come from God and not on anything else. Okay, the 48 strand DNA manifestation, the 96 strand, it's the same meditation as the 24 strand. You just do it, double the amount of strands of DNA. Now, when Saint Germain first came to me, I didn't understand this concept very well. In fact, it took me a couple of years to understand, oh, once you're done with the 24 strand, you keep going and you get 48 strands, and then you get 96, and then you get 192. You know, I had a lady come up to me in Mount Shasta 3 years after I started doing the DNA, and she says, do you know how many strands of DNA you have? And I said, no, I've never asked the question. She says, you have 197 strands of DNA. And I'm like, I do? I didn't even realize it, but I had continued doing it. And as you do it every day, it just brings in that love, that wisdom and power of God into every cell in your body, into all your DNA. And it's amazing and beautiful. So if you need help, I do have divine invocations with the 48 strand, with the 96 strand. I don't have them in the 192, but you know, once you get going on it, you'll understand. So I will email the higher manifestations of the 24 strand and the 48, 96, etc. Okay, now during the solstice, now we're going to have a very powerful full moon on December 19th. And this full moon is actually what's going to move us into the energy, because everything, there's 5 planets lined up, and the moon is lined up during this full moon, and the light is going to come through much more powerfully after the 19th of December, believe it or not. So the solstice is 2 days into that, and the full moon is still, full moon goes 2 days before, 2 days after. So the full moon will still be affecting all of this, but it's going to be a shift in the consciousness, not only of the moon, the earth, but Mars, Venus, Jupiter, and Saturn. And Pluto, I believe, is even involved in this. So, very good. Can the energy we are in affect our sleep? Yes. Those of us who are having trouble sleeping, and I'm one of them, it's been because we have this energy coming in so powerfully that it wakes us up, especially during the hours between 2 and 5 a.m. And we can't go back to sleep. So I suggest that you Ho'oponopono people, that you telepathically communicate with your family members that aren't aware of what they're doing in their lives, and send them the consciousness of love. Tell them, I love you and I want you to wake up to the truth. This is what Saint Germain has been teaching me and telling me to teach others to do. We need to telepathically send messages to people of love and waking up to the truth. And very, very important. And thank you. I love all of you also. There's a lot of people saying they love us. And let me tell you, that's what it's all about, people, is getting that love vibration, bringing us into the higher octaves of energy, the higher vibration of God. And it's going to happen for all of us. So just know, go review the Moon Temple. And you have this next week. I'm not going to do a weekly review because we're going to skip, because it's 2 days before Christmas and we've got some stuff going on. And I hope all of you have a lot of good stuff going on. If you're not creating good things, start creating good things. Create gatherings where you can get with like-minded people and meditate and pray and send out telepathic communications together. Because when 2 or more of you are gathered in my name, this is what Jesus was saying, there I will be also, and you will do even more than I have done. And so as you gather together, pray, meditate together, send your love out to the world. When we did this last Saint Germain, when I gave the blessing, we did that. We breathed and breathed in the love energy of God, and we sent it out into the world. And then we breathed in the energy of the power of God, the will of God, sent that out into all the earth. And then we breathed in the wisdom of God and sent that out into the world. And this is how we're going to shift and change everything. So let's give everybody a blessing now. Thank you again for joining us tonight. I know these are short, but it just kind of is a reminder. And so go to the Moon Temple if you don't remember it.
And Vicki sends her love to everyone.
And Vicki also sends her love to everyone. In fact, she's going to join me in doing the spring mentoring. So be thinking about that for the future, and it will come up in March. So let's go ahead and give you a blessing. In the name of the Almighty, I am that I am, the creator of the multiverse, and by virtue of all the ascended beings of light and love, and in the name of the great divine director, the Holy Spirit of God, emanating energy of God throughout the universe, we ask that all of you bring the love of God into you with a great big breath. Bring that love of God in and hold it in your hearts. And then send it out into the world to bring the love of God back into the world. And as you do this, hold that love of God energy and bring it right back into your heart again. And now breathe in another big breath with the will of God. Bring it into your heart and then send the will of God out into the whole earth, to all the people, helping them see what the will of God is and feel the will of God and emotionally connect to the will of God, and then bring it back into your heart. And then breathe in the wisdom of God and send the wisdom of God out into the world to wake up the people to the truth and the wisdom of God, and make it emanate into the entire earth, filling the planet with the love, will, and wisdom of God, and bring it back into your hearts. We bless you all that you will have the ability to work with the love, will, and wisdom of God in creating what we truly desire, which is a world which has a heaven on earth, and that we will all be able to learn from the masters, and that the master beings will come in and assist us with teaching all the other humans, so we can wake them up totally and bring them to a knowledge of the ascension process. We bless you that you will be filled with that Christ consciousness, that your hearts will be filled with the love of God, and the minds will be filled with the will of God, and your souls will be filled with the wisdom of God. And the trifold flame of cosmic illumination will be placed upon your forehead with all of the rays, the 7 rays of God, and include the golden and silver ray, which makes 9 rays in total. We bless you that you can do these things, and that you will focus on these things rather than focusing on the problems on your TV sets or in the movies or other forms of entertainment. Bring the love of God into your hearts, minds, and souls. We bless you with these things and seal this blessing upon all of you. In the name of the Almighty, I am that I am, and in the name of Yeshua ben Joseph, also known as Jesus the Christ, and all the other ascended beings of light and love, so be it, so it is. God bless you all. We'll see you in 2 weeks.